First of all, y'all hear me good back there? Thank y'all for having me, and I mean Mark's been here for several years, but this is the first time I've been back here. They used to have the Georgia State calling contest here for years, and we would come to Unicorn. And the room that the calls were in is where we had the calling contest, and then the call makers were downstairs. It was pretty cool. So I was able to make it back, and thank y'all for having me to do the seminar with Mark. You know, me and Mark teamed up in 2004.
Yep.
At the Grand Nationals in the team competition. Back then it was a little different. Now you had scenarios to do. Now they have a two-man, but you know, you friction in the air. But back then it was a two-man, and you had to put on scenarios and sound like everything to do with turkeys. I mean, owls, frogs, crickets. We did it all. You know, lucked up. How many did we win?
We won 6 times.
6 times.
That might be the most team wins,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
on record. But
So.
the way that thing come about is I had a team partner the year before, and Kerry was judging, and it didn't go real well. We didn't flow good. We didn't sound good together and all that. He was a great caller, but we just didn't go together. And Kerry was judging, and he hammered us. He tore us up on the score sheet. But I got home, and I knew Kerry, but I didn't know him very well. And I got home, and my wife said, somebody named Kerry Terrell, she wrote it down, called you. And I said, really? I said, what did he want? And she said, he said something about wanting to team up with you and the team. And I said, oh man. I said, absolutely. So I'm glad I called that guy, as they say.
Yeah.
We've been, since 2004, until we retired from calling in it, we were a team to beat for a long time.
We placed in everyone we called it. If we didn't.
Yeah, I think out of 8 years, we won 6 times. So we did pretty well together.
Yeah.
And since then, Kerry runs an organization called a KT team, which gets physically challenged people in the woods to hunt. And it's a big deal, and I've hunted with him a lot. I get to hunt with Kerry from time to time, and we have just as much fun in the woods as we did on the stage. And teaming up. And how many people in here, and I know some of you people in here, and I know there's some turkey killers in here. I'm not going to attempt to tell you how to kill a turkey or how to call, but how many people in here strictly hunt by themselves and don't go with anybody? Okay, only a few. So I like hunting with somebody else. Now there's times I really like to go by myself, but I do like hunting with somebody. And I think you can use that to your advantage if you know what to do and how to do it. There are a few things that you can do to up your success rate. And you know, I've guided for many years, and you know, I've called turkeys for people. But to have somebody else in the woods with you that can call, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. That's kind of what we're going to talk about. I know Kerry wants to.
First of all, I want to tell you about this teaming up stuff. You know, I started turkey hunting 1980. I think Georgia got a season in '86 in South Georgia, somewhere around there. Known Mark Sharp all my life. Okay, we had a mutual friend that had got into hunting with him. They hunted I think Fort Stewart got a season a couple years before we did. Okay, well, Keith had hunted with me, and he knew that I had a lot of turkeys on the Geechee River. Well, Mark was kind of tutoring Keith on how to hunt. So anyway, he said, I got to bring over. They called him Lost Shark back then for some reason. I'm gonna bring a Lost over there. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I had killed a turkey or two, but I had never had one called in. So anyway, Mark shows up. We went in on the ridge. It was mid-morning, I believe. It wasn't early. And Mark struck a bird. Just could hear him. Struck a bird. I thought, that was pretty cool there. And I want to tell y'all something, this team stuff. Mark Sharp tells me, you get over there by that tree and you now the turkey's this way, and the whole time I'm questioning, you get over by that tree and you face that way. I had my shotgun, you face that way, in case that turkey comes around. He told Keith the same thing. Face that way now. So, this don't seem right, so he sits over there about 15 yards from us, facing the turkey. I hear him working. Man, that was the coolest thing to hear that turkey come down that hill, and he gobbled the whole way. Every time you talk to him. Well, I got to peeking out around that tree. I wanted to see what was going on. But he had told y'all, he specifically told me, don't move, don't say nothing, you just sit there. And directly, I got to peeking around that tree, and I could hear, you could hear that turkey drum. It's pretty cool, but I'd like to see a little more. But anyway, he don't know it, but I finally peeked out around that tree and watched him kill that turkey. that was our team up hunt right there. But that started me, y'all. That started the fire right there. I mean, I was on fire, and then I was the type of person, I wanted to learn it myself. Well, he got a little upset. I would never invite him back. He thought that I was mad with him. I just wanted to learn it by myself. And then we started hunting together, and we killed several birds together.
Who'd you go with after that, Kerry? Mike Mayfield and...
In the calling competition?
No, with the call-making group.
Yeah. I
Mike
think it was
Mayfield
was the
and-
first group. Benny Britt, no, it wasn't Benny. It was Mike Mayfield and Cameron Harrington.
That's right.
Yeah.
What was the name of their company?
Magnum Gamecock.
Magnum Gamecocks.
Yep.
That's
Years
right.
ago.
Yep.
Yep. But you know, Mark kind of started that fire to get me to want to sound like a turkey. I mean, that was awesome. Y'all know that's awesome when you get a turkey to come in there like that. And I just wanted to sound more and more like a real turkey. And then I went to my first calling competition, and I heard Walter Parrott, Harold Knight, a bunch of them. I'm like, if I could sound like these guys, I could kill more turkeys. And that's kind of, but Mark kind of started my turkey hunting fever, I guess it is, or sickness. I guess it's a sickness, ain't it? But that was pretty cool. I wanted about the team hunting. So y'all don't team up like that now.
Hey, he's had your back ever since.
Yeah. You know, it even went to the point that, you know, the first year that we went to Nashville was with Goblin Thunder and Company
Right.
Choke.
Chokes, yep.
Catherine was on a pair of crutches because
Yep.
she'd sprained her ankle. And, you know, we get in this taxi cab and they carry us all around for about 10 or 12 minutes, stop us off at Opry Mills Mall over there. Well, we look out and we see where we're staying at right across the place. So I carry her back and,
Because it was
you
too
know,
late for the bus to take us back.
yeah,
Remember we waited
and you know, in comes Aaron Tippins the next day, and all of a sudden, the crutches are gone. Catherine and Angie's taking off going to get an autograph from Aaron Tippins.
But anyway, I thought that's pretty cool. Thank you, Mark, for
Yeah.
the sickness that you gave me. That was,
You're welcome.
but we had a lot of good hunts
Yeah.
together. And I'd take Mark over there, and I'd have to go to work or something and leave him. He gonna kill your turkey now. It might take him all day, but he gonna stay with the one in the swamp.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I kind of contribute, Kerry, to a little bit towards my divorce. Really and truly. I mean, it was down at my wife's anniversary. She's all dolled up, ready to go out that night. Me and Kerry get on these guys that are poaching on the land over there and stay there till about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Well, the next morning I show up on Kerry's doorsteps over there. He said, "How long have you been here? All night?" I said, "Just about."
Well, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
That was a blessing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty good. But we go back to the.
Ever since then, I guess me and you teamed up and been making a bunch of noise.
That's right. That's right.
But it goes back to trying to be real. Realism makes a world of difference. And it doesn't matter what kind of call you run. I mean, I just about only run trumpets and tube calls. Kerry runs just about everything. I mean, I can run stuff, but I just prefer to call like that. But it doesn't matter what you use. You just need to try to sound the best you can on what you have, and be confident in the call you use. So, you know, just what we use doesn't mean that's what you have to use, or that it's the only thing that'll kill a turkey. But be confident in what you're running, and don't be scared to try something different.
One thing I wanna add to that, he's talking about, a lot of people worry about way they sound. Well, I ain't got enough rasp, or it's too clear. That don't matter. You present it like a turkey, everybody's heard turkeys that sound, they don't even sound like a turkey, but their cadences, their realism is, you can tell it's a turkey. You know, so that's what you don't, when you're running the call, well, it don't sound like Mark's or whoever's, it don't sound right. Present it. Presentation, woods or on stage, means all the difference in the work, the way you present it.
Going back to the team thing, that's really good that everybody doesn't sound like, because I don't sound like Kerry and he don't sound like me, and that's good because you got two different hens. So you got a buddy that's with you, he may be running a box call, you may be running a mouth call, and you're two different hens, you got two different sounds, and a lot of times that's a confidence builder. A lot of times a turkey, he may respond to you and gobble to you, but there's times where he's got a whole flock over there. So if you can sound like a flock yourself, I think you're better off if you can sound like at least two birds. So if you can sound like a couple different birds on one call, and your buddy can do the same, that's 4 turkeys right there. So, yes, sir.
When you hunt by yourself, how many calls do you carry in just to sound like different birds?
Well, let me tell you, I'm not, probably not the best one to answer that, because I pretty much only carry a trumpet or 2. And that's it. That's it. I don't have a box, I don't have a slate, I don't even carry diaphragms anymore. And I used to live by the diaphragm call, but it's just something that I choose to use, and I'm confident in it, and that's what I want to do. It's kind of like bow hunting. You know you can kill a deer with a rifle, but you want to take that bow, you want that extra challenge, you want to do something different. So that's kind of how I am. I'm a little bit old school too, so I kind of enjoy older school type calls.
Well, also, Mark, you can, you know, a lot of people, you can take that trumpet and sound like 2 or 3 different turkeys.
Sure.
By changing, you know, tube call, you can do it with a tube call by changing your mouth, you can do it with a trumpet by changing, so you can sound like a couple of different turkeys.
Box
And
calls.
distances by turning, you know.
Yep,
make
box
them
calls
take-
got 2 sides, and
Yeah.
both of them usually sound different. You can run a pot call, and you can run that closer to the middle, and it's gonna sound different than running the edge. There's a lot of different things you can do, but with 2 people, it even works better, so.
I was telling somebody earlier, you talking about hunting with 2 people, you know, most people's mindset, when they get a bird to gobble, I wanna get as close as I can get to him and set up. And I used to be the same way. But now, I'm hunting with these guys in the wheelchairs and stuff, you can't get in there close. And I try to set up a situation to where I'm putting something in that gobbler's mind that, I try to set up to where we're far enough away to I can still walk in there closer and fly down or do whatever I want to do and walk away. Well, you painted that picture in his mind. And since we've been doing that with these handicapped folks, I've started doing that on my own sometimes. You know, call and walk away and then come back and sit down. So, you know, I feel like you got to paint a picture in his mind to make him think. But if you call and you just sit down, you call sitting there, something ain't right, you sitting in one spot. Well, she's still gonna come to me, she's still standing there. You know,
Yeah. You gotta think about everything you do and think about how it's being perceived by the turkey, because he can't see the hen that you're trying to be. But you have to, like he said, you got to paint a picture. You have to let him imagine in his mind what's going on. Okay, the hen just flew down over there. All right, she sounds like she's going that way towards that old hayfield over there. So that's what he's gonna wanna do is meet her over there. He knows where he's at. He knows what's over there where you are. So you gotta make him believe that you're 1 or 2 birds over there that he wants to come join. So, anybody got any other questions?
Kerry, I believe that you went on a hunt with Night and Hale one time. That the story is that you can always call a turkey uphill, but you can't call one downhill.
you're exactly right.
and I believe you got that on video.
We did. Chuck Jones
And-
filmed that one night in Hill.
And, you know, I had two young boys that were hunting with me, and all of a sudden the bird just shut up. And one of the boys said, I see him laying down over there. And I told that boy, I said, man, you ain't never seen a turkey lay down, but you got footage of a turkey coming
Yep.
and just squatting and laying down, yeah, and sitting there.
Yep, yep, they'll do it. I mean, I seen them do that out in the field.
Yeah.
I seen gobblers, if there's a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
of grass growing, they'll just squat out where they can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know how many times I've scanned the field, you pull up there and you kinda get behind a tree and you look across with binoculars. And that old red sour weed is real bad where I'm at, and you look out there and you don't see nothing. And then you look again and the turkey sticks his head up. He was laying down out there, just sticks his head up. And I mean, you don't need to be in a hurry. You need to check good and you need to look and make sure, cause they can hide. It'll surprise you. I've seen turkeys, hens cross the road and go into a field and lay down, and you can't find them. I mean, you can't see where they're at. And then eventually they'll get up and they just blend in so well.
You know, kind of going back to teaming up is kind of what we was talking about. There's another thing key to teaming up with somebody. Y'all got to kind of think alike. You got to know what the other one's gonna do, you know, or if you get two guys there, one's real aggressive, one's not, then that hunt ain't gonna go too well. But you kind of got to think like your partners, you know what they're thinking, you know?
Got to paint the same picture.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
So y'all gonna paint us a picture of your two-man team
We
championship?
gonna do that for
Yeah,
sure.
we'll probably get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions? I know somebody's got
I was gonna say, I like to have a buddy with me just for safety, because I hunt down in the low country of South Carolina, you know, down there, there's cottonmouths everywhere. You know, ain't nothing, just sit down next to you, there's something next to you, so if you got a buddy with you,
Yep.
there's a chance coming out, you know, safe and all that.
I tell you too, something that I've noticed, and I'm getting older and I don't hear as well, but how many times, I think me and Kerry's even done it, how many times have you hit an owl hooter or a crow call and both, hey, did you hear that? Yeah, he was right over there. I mean, I don't know how many times that's happened. If he don't gobble again, y'all, you know, you got to arm wrestle or something to figure out which way you're
If he
gonna go.
cuts that owl hooter off and you're by yourself, it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes to.
And that's what I tell people too, you know, I love the owl hoot and all that stuff, but you can't go into a long, you know, they say who cooks for you all. You can't be doing all that stuff when you're trying to make a turkey gobble, because he may gobble on your second note. And, you know, I'm up there. And I called right through him gobbling, and he may be a good ways off, or it may be heavy cover and you can't hear him. So I usually start off with just a single. And that's it. Now, if I don't hear anything, I may juice it up a little bit and try to, and then I'll get longer and longer. At that point, if I don't hear one gobble, and all this is if I feel like I'm in the right spot. And usually I hunt kind of the same ground over and over, and I know about where the turkeys ought to be. I'm just trying to figure out exactly where he's at. So if I don't get anything then, I'm gonna start talking to owls. I'm no longer worrying about a turkey. I'm trying to get the owls fired up. If I get up there and and if you start that laughing and everything, they're gonna start getting fired up. When you start doing all that, you're gonna get an owl response. Okay, and then there's gonna be one over here, and then you covering all that ground. All you gotta do then is just listen, because you're just a spectator at that point. You got one over here, and he's covering 50 acres, and he's covering 50 acres, so that makes it a whole lot better. So don't feel like that, you know, you gotta just hoot one time. If you don't gobble, go somewhere else. some of y'all are probably like me, I hunt a lot of small places, and it may be a 30-minute drive to my other spot, and I hate to leave a turkey. So I'm not gonna, I know guys that's got, 4,000 or 5,000 acres to hunt, they can get in the truck and go down the road a little piece and just keep on moving. I'm gonna give him another chance. I'm gonna pull out a crow call, or I'm gonna wait a little bit and I'm gonna try something else, and I'm gonna try to make him gobble. And if he don't gobble, I'm gonna probably try to set up where I think he might be. Cause they're not gonna always gobble. That's just the way it is.
I thought about something, going back to the teaming up thing. How many of y'all hunt agricultural fields, a lot of big fields? That's tough. Bird gets in a field, you sitting on the edge of the field, you call to him, he knows that. He knows that sound comes from a hen that can see him. You got a buddy with you, you sit on the edge of the field, make that bird think you leaving that field.
Yeah.
Remember the bird we killed in the field with the long box?
Yep.
Afternoon, Mark hit a long box. He didn't say a word, did he? That white long Mark said, there he is. He stepped in that field, but he didn't say another word. But I don't know where that turkey was at. I think he was fairly close to the field. And he walked right up to him, never said another word. But if he would have said something, he had pinpointed you and probably hung up.
Yeah.
But just, with a buddy, you can work them in a field like that.
If you're with another buddy, you try to set up on the same tree, or you pick different trees, how far apart?
I like to get a little different,
Yeah.
Away from each other a little bit to see a different angle, because you always got
20 yards or
maybe
so.
a little opening or a ridge or something that you can't see from that tree, but especially right-handed, left-handed, you get where you got it covered.
Yeah.
However you sit, but I usually spread out. You can see each other, but
Yeah.
It depends on.
sometimes.
It depends on the terrain. If it's really thick, I definitely want to sit.
Closer.
I want to be able to talk if I can, but if it's where there's limited amount of cover or anything like that, I want to get where I got good cover. But in knowing your buddy and what he's gonna do, if me and Kerry's hunting together and I start calling, he knows what I'm doing, and he's not gonna, if I'm clucking and purring, which I don't do a whole lot of, but if I'm doing something soft, he's not gonna go into a long cutting routine, something loud. We're gonna work together, and it's gonna be blending and matching, trying to paint the same picture.
Kerry, why don't you tell us about the Fu Manchu gobble?
Which one you talking about now? The,
F-14, when you and Justin were hunting together.
Oh. Okay. I never hunted Fort Stewart much, but when I would go, I'd wait and go mid-morning after everybody was leaving out. Well, it was about 10 o'clock, and me and my son went in there. Had seen some scratching in there. Anyway, we get in there, and I told Justin, I got to go. I got to go to the boys' room, bad. So I run off in there, and when I'm going in there, they're scratching everywhere. Golly, there's got to be a gobble around somewhere, y'all. I know it was just timing and something else went on, but it was one of them covey quails when I had to do what I had to do. And timing wise, when it made a racket, oh, there's a bird gobbled right back there. And I swear he gobbled at it. Now that's the way it seemed to me. And you talking about some scattering? That's the first turkey I ever killed with my britches down. I killed that turkey right there. I called that turkey in and killed him. Right where I was at. But he had the Fu Manchu. He had two. Never seen him with two beards that came out like this. It was two 10-inch thick beards that way. He was just a 2-year-old, but that timing was like he gobbled at it, y'all. And Justin sitting over there in the truck, didn't know what had went on. I come walking out after I went to do what I done, took the turkey, and he didn't know what had went on. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Got to keep it lively, man.
That's right.
So always take your gun when you go to the bathroom.
That's right. I always take it with you. You're exactly right, please. You're exactly right. Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions? Why don't we do a little calling, and what we'll do, we'll just kind of give you a little sample of kind of what we used to do when we teamed up. And, we tried to play off each other. But one thing I think that made us successful is we didn't call over top of each other. So we weren't both doing the same thing at the same time. That's hard to do. And
Hens don't really do that either.
hens don't do that. I mean, I'm not saying that you won't hear a hen over here yelping away, maybe way over, but usually you'll hear one hen and the other one might do a little bit too to the side of it. It's really hard to do, and we hadn't practiced or called together since 2013, so, other than in the woods.
That's right.
But, this is kind of an example of what we used to do, and you can see kind of how it blends. So what we're gonna do, I think we're gonna try to do maybe a morning wake up, morning on the roost in the fall. But now you remember turkeys gobble in the fall too. You'll hear turkeys gobble. I heard turkeys, about a week ago, deer hunting, they were gobbling like crazy. So you might hear a gobble in here.
So y'all know that gobblers stay ready year round, they just wait on the hens, you know?
And right now, they're fighting for dominance to see who's the boss. You know, they're strutting to each other and gobbling and carrying on. But what we'll do is, start off, on the limb, so to speak, early morning and in the fall, and a flock of turkeys getting together, and we'll see.
All right.
We ain't been doing no practicing, but we'll give it a try. You can tell we're a little bit rusty. It's been a while since turkey season. It's fun to try to listen to what you hear in the woods and do it. And try to be realistic about not just the sounds you're making, but what you're saying. So we had hens kikiing back and forth. We had jakes fighting. We had owls and geese flying over and turkeys gobbling and that stuff. So, you know, putting it all together and not just calling, but having a conversation and making it all sound like it's supposed to. That's kind of what we strive to do. So.
Yep. Any questions?
What was it Brother Zach used to say, Mark?
About,
Turkey don't say nothing.
yes,
That's
he
right.
says,
They don't just talk, yep.
he said a hen turkey is not a gossip. She speaks when she needs to speak, says what she needs to say, and doesn't do it any other time. So, and as he says, unlike some of the other females of the males. Yeah, that was pretty cool, that video that he did with us with that, and we definitely miss him for sure.
Yep.
All right, anybody got any questions or want to hear anything different, or?
How many of you kiki in the spring? Use a kiki. You're missing out if you don't.
I kiki in the spring all the time.
Yes, sir.
I'll never forget, I was filming a show at MWTF one time, and I had John Brown with me, and I started calling, and a hen answered me yelping like crazy. And I mean, assembly yelping. She wanted to get back together when she was lost or something. She was an adult hen. She jumped up on a log, and she started kikiing and assembly yelping. Now, a lot of times you hear, if you go to a contest, they ask for a kiki run, and that usually consists of, 3 and 4 keys, and then a yelp, 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 yelp. But this turkey was keying and then assembly yelping behind it. And ever since then, I started doing that, what she was doing. And I'm telling you what, it drives turkeys crazy, because it sounds like a frantic turkey, and those other hens will answer you. There's times early season where those gobblers are henned up and they won't come to you. In fact, when they're with those hens, sometimes they don't gobble. But if I can get a hen to answer me, I kind of know about where he's at. So I don't know how many times I've done that and get a hen. She might do nothing but just no, 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 no. And that's it. But you know right where he's at. He's with her. He won't gobble, and then you can make plans from there. If they're moving this way and you hear her going that way, you know you're in the wrong place, and you need to try to get to where they want to be, or at least you know where he's going to be later.
Yeah, that.
Did you demo that? That kiki?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So this is kind of what that hen did, and I've heard it a lot since then. You don't hear it a lot, but it's a pleading call, like, where are you? In fact, I was in my shop turning calls the other day, and I turned my machine off, and I heard a hen yelping, and I got turkeys in my woods around my house. I heard a hen yelping, and so I peeked out the door, and I saw a hen standing over here by herself, and she was kikiing, and the turkeys were over on the other side across the field, and they were yelping and keying back to her, and she broke and ran to them, like she could not wait to get back to that flock. And I don't know what separated them or how, any of that came about, but by listening and watching what was going on, I figured, I knew what was going on. It sounds something like this. she's pleading, she wants, and that key is trying to, that's a real pleading call. Spring or fall, it doesn't matter, does not matter.
You talk about, on your two call all the time, I always remember, Harold used to always talk, and I've seen it a lot too, for jakes. If you can get a jake, Harold would say kelp catcher, kelp catcher.
Yeah.
He's probably with a long beard.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody else will talk, but if you can get him to, oh, and that two call. And we're always
Absolutely.
talking about hens and stuff, but your jakes and gobbler talk.
And Harold always says that old Jake's honoring that gobbler.
Yeah.
And they will do that. They will, you can hear them,
Your two call's good at that.
and you can call to them, and as soon as you call, like I'll give you a hen, and then that Jake right behind you, almost cut you off. And then you know that Jake is probably with the gobbler.
Yeah.
And they'll answer you sometimes when a hen won't. A lot of times they'll just, it's almost like an instinct, like,
They can't.
it's kind of like a shock gobble,
Yeah.
but they're not gobbling.
Right.
It's that cowkin. And,
And the gobblers are there, shut up.
that's right, that's right.
I can't
Or you
take
better
it."
shut up.
Yeah, you better shut
Yeah.
up.
So,
I was gonna ask how many folks do y'all use a gobbler yelp during the spring?
Very lot, a lot.
yeah, I do
With
too.
my hen yelping.
But you know what, I don't do it unless I need to.
Right.
Like, in other words, if there ain't nothing else working, I will gobble, I will Jake yelp. And like,
Hen does bird more than hen.
let's look at it this way. You're painting a picture. How many times have you watched videos or maybe done it yourself where you're hunting and you put a Jake decoy out there and that gobbler runs in there to whip that Jake decoy? All right? If you're sitting there and you're hen calling back and forth and he ain't coming, all right? If you do that Jake calc or Jake yelp, it paints a picture, okay, that hen's over there and that Jake's over there with my hen. He's saying, I'm going over there to whip him. And all you're doing is giving the audio version of the visual of the decoy. And the gobbling's the same thing. A lot of people say, man, ain't no way I'm gonna gobble, but I gobble all the time. And I've told this story before, but I was hunting with Chris Parrish one time, and Chris had killed a turkey the day before, and I was on the gun that day, and we was filming for the Night and Hale show. And a turkey gobbled and gobbled and gobbled, and he wouldn't break, he wouldn't come, he wouldn't do anything, but just stand out there and gobble. And the woods were burnt and were open, and we couldn't go to him, we couldn't do anything, we were pinned down. And I started gobbling, and that rascal broke and came right straight to me, and I killed him right there. And he came to fight. And it was, it would be the same thing as you having a gobbler decoy sitting out there, except it was, we didn't have any decoys, but it's the same thing, same picture. He thought there was, and he come to fight, and he couldn't fight them number sixes.
Late season, if I'm walking down this road and I see 2 or 3 gobbler tracks together, I knew that it's all over as far as breeding. I'm switching to my gobbler calls. I've done that numerous times and had 3 or 4 gobblers come in there
Yeah.
all together. That's a sign to me that, breeding season's over with, we're flocking back up. So then I'll break out my gobbler call.
And I tell you,
Sometimes that's all they'll gobble at last season too, is enough gobble.
I'll tell you something too, you gotta do what you hear. They don't talk that much. I spent a fall one time with a flock of gobblers. They were roosting in the same place. And I went there every morning and I was deer hunting, but I got to where I wasn't deer hunting anymore. I would just go and listen to those gobblers. They just didn't talk much. And even though they would get together, but they would just and that's it. And they know, and they get together with that. And if you start doing a whole bunch of that, they're pretty sharp. They don't like that. They know that that's not natural. So it ain't like a hen. Sometimes them hens, they just carry on. Gobblers, it's kind of like Mr. Zach. They say what they need to say, and they know where they are, so.
That's a good point too, but, you know, practice on your gobbler clucking. They do a lot of clucking when they walk. A
Absolutely.
gobbler cluck is deadly,
Especially coming in.
deadly.
You're
Yep,
looking.
just that old,
Yeah.
practice
Hear
on
that
that old
cluck.
roadie
Oh,
deep,
yeah.
they can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Mark, in addition to gobbling when he's hung up, the thing that I've found, I really learned this hunting in January and February in those few states where you can hunt those big gangs of gobblers.
Yeah.
When they fly down in the morning, they're gonna fight. They've done that since they've hatched.
Yes.
I mean, we've got
Yeah.
video of
Yeah.
gobbler poults that are actually strutting. And I have found that in addition to gobbler clucking, gobbler yelping, or gobbler, to me, the most effective is just to fight the purrs.
Yep.
It'll spring them loose, and I've done it a number of times on film. I think in Kansas, we were along the Walnut River. I'm a writer from the American Hunter Book. And back, 10 years ago, when you could hunt to the end of January, some of those gobbler groups would be over 100 longbeards together. And when you've got that many turkeys together, they're not gonna be quiet. There's
No.
always somebody gonna be saying something.
Yeah.
We worked out this ridge, and I could hear them. I started glassing across this big bean field, I could see them. They were just loafing. They were just standing there, deer preening and what have you. So I slipped down and took 2 fans, and all I did was start purring, gobbler purring, and making it sound like a gobbler fight. I finally dialed one of them in, and they walked a whole bunch. I'm talking, well, it was impossible to shoot, because I asked the writer, I said, aren't you gonna kill one? They were about 10 steps, and if I'm gonna shoot one, I'll kill 10. But that all hinged on fighting purrs. And I have found actually throughout, whether you're hunting in the fall, hunting in the spring, hunting in the winter,
Yeah.
to me, that's my go-to call.
Yeah.
When they're hung up, buddy, they wanna fight.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of teenagers on a Saturday night, they're looking for a fight.
Yeah, that is so true. I've seen that. In fact, I heard gobblers fighting last week in the deer, or week before last in the deer stand. They just fight all
I
the time.
think it's every day. I think when they fly down there, to a certain extent.
I mean,
We watched
they're-
turkeys in Florida, down there, that would pay no attention to your calling. And the customer sitting there like, oh, where are you going? The turkey are going. No yelping, whatever, box call, whatever. There they go. We start a fighting curve, 150 yards away, all the heads come up.
See your heads change, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just changes them all the time.
I mean, to me, that is, if I had to pick one call,
Yeah.
that would be it.
Yeah. How many times did Harold and David prove that
Oh, yeah.
with the fighting purr? I mean,
So
so.
we were doing it before the,
Yeah.
we were doing it on slates and mouth calls.
Yeah, for sure.
Mark,
Good stuff.
thank y'all for having me. I'll be back enjoying it. I told him before you come in, this is kind of where I started my turkey calling, at this place right here.
Yep, yep. Glad to have you.
All right, anybody got anything else? Yes, sir.
I've got one, at the start of your presentation, excuse me, when you talked about working together, you said you didn't wanna overdo it. And then when you both started doing it together, when, if it makes any sense, when you said you didn't wanna overdo each other, when, in the point of that, when y'all started cutting loose together, when was it time to, does that come,
Well, if you're hunting, then the time is when you get a response, or he's coming. If he's not coming and not responding, then you just gotta keep calling to him or move or do something different.
You talking about when 2 people calling?
Yeah.
Just try to answer each other, make it natural, and turkeys get to cutting back too on top
Oh,
of
yeah.
each other sometimes. But when they're assembly up and they're kiki and you can tell they're kind of answering each other, which is what, we try to do.
Yeah.
And the other question is, you mentioned gobbling a lot. My mentor, Larry Prophet, he told me, he said, when I gobble on a mouth call, he said, you're either gonna scare a 2-year-old off. He told me to be very limited in gobbling. He said, you're either gonna scare the 2-year-olds off, or you're gonna bring the boss in. And he kind of discouraged a whole lot of gobbling, a whole lot of gobbling.
It depends on what you sound like.
Yeah.
You might sound like a
You can sound like a
or
Jake
2-year-old.
yeah.
So maybe he was saying I sounded too mature.
If you got a big deep gobble, then that may be true. Look at elk, you start bugling like a big bull, the biggest bull in the woods, and but if you start bugling like a satellite bull, he may come in there to you. It depends on what you sound like and how your gobbling is to whether or not you might spook something.
And I don't think one gobble, I'll do that. I said, well, let me try something else, and I'll do it and take his temperature, I guess is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If he gobbles right back, I'm like, oh, I might be all, or if I'm looking at him, go by his reaction. If he acts kind of booger, oh, I don't do that no more, so
Exactly.
Kind of go by his temperature.
If he drops that tail and kind of
Yeah, you can tell if you're looking at him. Man,
If you stop hearing him, you've met him.
Usually in the woods, if you gobble it going, he'll cut you off if he's
Yeah.
right. If you don't hear nothing, you're like, ooh, I don't want to do that no more. You
Yes.
sit there and wait and see what he does. So kind of take his temperature, because I called one in for the little girl from Indiana. This was a 2-year-old bird. He hung up and I'm watching him. I did everything I knew to do. Of course, we couldn't move, we couldn't do nothing. She's in a wheelchair. Let me try it. So I gobbled at it. He kind of perked up. He'd been just kind of standing there and half struck. I figured he was a 2-year-old. When I first gobbled at him, he kind of perked up. Wait a minute. He kind of started easing towards us. So, I started, but every time he'd stop, I'd gobble at him. And he'd turn around and come. I gobbled him right up there, and she killed him. But I was able to watch him. If I'd have gobbled at him, he'd walk around that curve, I'm like, ooh, I don't do this
This has
anymore.
been the best seminar I've seen, because the only two-way strategy I've ever been successful in is when you get one hung up, get your buddy to go
Walk
50
away,
yards
call.
up the ridge.
Right,
and
right,
so
yeah.
I learned,
Yeah.
it's been a great presentation, just the way y'all,
Yep.
you
Think that hen's leaving.
that's been the only way I've ever been
Yeah.
successful. with
And
it.
that's a good one, yeah. I've even done it where they could hear me in the leaves, but you kind of move like, what I'm saying, they couldn't see you, but you walk away clucking or yelping, they hear the leaves too, and that where she's walking away,
That's what's nice with trumpets, you can be real directional with that.
That's right.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, trumpets are a real directional call, and Kerry killed one with me, a few years ago. We were in open swamp, and I was on the trumpet, and the bird was coming, he's really
Around me. You
going
go
around
me
Kerry.
to get the mark.
So I kind of turned and started running the trumpet more towards Kerry, and that bird turned and went where he could kill him. Whereas if he'd have kept coming, he would have went around him, and Kerry had a log or something like, if I remember,
Yeah, I couldn't get-
on the
yeah.
side, and he couldn't turn this way. So I made the turkey, by changing the direction of the sound, I made the turkey go, the other side of Kerry. And I've done that a lot of times, and also, you're talking about walking away. If you're by yourself, I've been real lucky with the trumpet, where if you're calling, he's gobbling or hung up, I have just been able to turn, and you're gonna get bouncing off the wall. But if you're in the woods, you wouldn't get that. But turn. And it sounds like she's over there going away. It changes the sound. It's like, how many times have you heard a gobbler facing you, and then he turns around, and gobbles away from you, and all he did was spin
Even on the limb,
around?
you can hear it.
Yeah, on the limb. I've heard turkeys gobble, and I've called to them, and they spin around on the limb and gobble at me, and you're like, oh, I think he's closer, but he's still on the limb. So that directional stuff can help.
That's hard to
you.
do with other calls. You can turn around a pot call and box call, but you can't get the direction like you can with
No,
the
just
trumpets.
a pot call or a box call, the
Even
sound comes out in a circle, straight circle. With a trumpet, it's just like, and I've said this many times, it's just like when you trying to get somebody's attention way over, you cup your hands. You're like, hey, you're directing that sound, more of that sound straight towards them. And it works. It definitely works, and a trumpet works the same way. You're going straight to them. straight at him. And if you wanna be quieter, you know, you can go down and direct it into your hand or straight down. If you wanna be softer, so there's a lot of things you can do with the direction of
Trump, I had a question while we got, yes, sir.
What's your go-to call when he quits gobbling, you double that?
I wait a while. I mean, I just shut up for a while.
And just go back to the yelp?
And well, sometimes I won't even, I'll let him do the next thing, you know.
Yeah.
If he's interested, he gonna gobble again, but yeah, if I gobble to him, I'm like, and he don't do nothing, I'm like, ooh, you know, if I can't see.
Yeah.
patience will kill a lot of
Yeah.
turkeys
That's
too.
my next question is,
Just-
you guys' patience.
He knows where you at. If he's interested, he knows to the foot of where you at. You're gonna either hear him drumming or he'll gobble again or something, you
You usually move when that happens? or
know.
it's-
Unless I can see him, I don't. I'll kinda hang right there, you know.
Man, if they quit gobbling, you taking a chance to move on. He might be
He might
easing
be
towards
coming,
you,
That's right.
so you don't never know.
Can't get your eyes on him, I'd rather
Yeah.
just sit there.
Yes, sir.
On a bird that you've got coming to you, and I'm assuming he sees your decoys, and he's waiting that hen to come to him, and he holds up, paces back, before won't come in. Do you have a series of calls that you would use to maybe up his confidence and get him a little closer?
Well, first thing I do, I'll tell you this is a little trick, and it don't always work, but it's a little trick that I learned. I don't hunt with decoys that much, but if I do, I'm facing that decoy away. That hen looks like she's walking that way. If he's gobbling over there, my decoy's facing that way. And he sticks his head up and he sees that hen walk like she's walking away. Sometimes that makes a difference. Especially, I don't know how many times I've hunted, where I hunt is real thick. I'm in the low country of South Carolina. I forgot who said they were from the low country. I hunt the low country of South Carolina, and I have to hunt a lot of roads. I mean, it's briar thickets and pine trees this tall, and then them birds use those roads for travel corridors. And I don't know how many times I've stuck a decoy up, you know, before I realized what I was doing. You stick a decoy up and she's going this way and he's over there, he'll stand right there and strutting. Well, she's coming this way, I'll just stand right here. I mean, I think they pick up on those little things. If she's going the other way and you can also sound like you're going the other way, I've seen them break strut and come on in because, oh, she's leaving. So that's a little thing that I've learned over the years that makes a difference, I think. Maybe it's in my head, but I think it works.
So like her pointing away, well, he's coming this way, and you've got your decoy this.
Yep.
And turn around and project to the rear
Yep.
with him.
Absolutely.
Paint that picture.
There's nothing that's gonna be 100%. I mean, Rob will tell you that. He's hunted more turkeys all over the country than anybody. And there's just times when you're just not gonna change their mind and you're not gonna get them to do anything different. I've had turkeys coming to me down a road and just running and stop the strut, run and stop the strut. And they stop because there's a limb in the road and they just stand there and strut. If that limb wasn't there, he'd have kept right on coming. And he can go right over or around that limb. The limb ain't this high. And that's just what they do. And sometimes you just can't avoid stuff like that. It's just the way it is.
Talking about decoys on an average in your life, I think I've had decoys mess me up on more turkeys and it's helped me overall. Overall, if I think about, and I've had some of them we probably wouldn't have killed without a decoy, but I think overall, the territory that I hunt, fields especially, I don't, with our handicap guys, yeah, you pretty much got to have decoys, you got to
Yeah.
try to have a turkey right
Yeah.
there, but I think a decoy hurts you more than it helps you.
And I'm gonna tell you something else, we'll never know how bad decoys can hurt you because you sitting in a food plot, you got decoys out there, you don't know that gobbler ain't slipping up there.
Done
He can
seen 'em. That's
he can
right.
see them before he ever gets to the field.
Yep.
He may turn around and walk off and you never knew he was there. So I just don't think we even know how many times it messes us up.
Well, just like the turkey I was talking about with Mark, if
Yeah.
we'd have had a decoy out there that day, that turkey would never come. He'd walk that field and stood there and waited, you know.
I'll tell you what I did one time. I had a gobbler standing over in the corner, and it goes back to the dominance thing. I had a turkey standing in the corner of a field, and I was in a ditch. And I eased up, and I saw the turkey, and I didn't call to him or anything yet, but I stuck a Jake decoy up and a hen. And that turkey gobbled. When I finally called to him, he gobbled, he looked over there, and he kind of half strutted, and he just kind of went back to feeding. He wouldn't come. And I'm like, I just wonder if he's scared of this Jake decoy, because he didn't know it was a Jake. He just saw it was a male bird. And I was in that ditch, and I reached up there, and after about 15 or 20 minutes of that, I reached up there and I took those decoys and put them down in the ditch with me, and called to him again, and he looked, and them decoys were gone, especially the Jake. Next thing I know, he's coming straight across the field towards me. I left the hen, I pulled the Jake, and he comes straight across there towards me. Now, you know, I don't know what was going through his head, but in my mind, I felt like he didn't want to fight, and he figured that gobbler had left. Or maybe, you don't know, that turkey might have got beat up every day of his life by a gobbler in that same spot. So you don't know what goes on out there. So I took it down, and he came straight to me.
Let me ask y'all a controversial question. We're talking about decoys. Now, I'm not a fan of this fanning.
Right.
What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Well,
I mean, it's a good way to get your butt killed.
Yeah.
well, sure. I'll tell you this, it works, but I don't do it.
Yeah.
And to me,
I have done it.
Yeah.
And it's an adrenaline rush.
I have done it
But to
too.
me, it's not the way I want to run it.
That's right.
Exactly.
If people like it, cool, because it did, when I did do it, my heart was about to blow out my chest to have that turkey fixing to jump on top of me, but I would rather call a turkey in and outsmart him and, you know.
Exactly.
So,
I have a
nothing
certain
wrong with
way.
it, if that's what you like, but like you say, in the right and wrong, I own a bunch of private land, but we call poachers on private land.
That's right.
You don't ever know.
I want to call them up with my trumpet, and I want to shoot them with a 100-year-old double barrel, and that's just the way I like to do it. And I don't, you know, that's just me. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying anybody else shouldn't do it, it's just not for me.
Can we get,
Last one I got, was when you mentioned natural barriers like a tree limb or a creek or a fence, do you have, either one of you guys have a special tactic that is proven to work for you guys to get them to come on over?
Nope.
Because I've had him stand there and I go, man, there's a mud puddle right there, and he wouldn't, you know, what do you do?
Nothing, it could be nothing, but to him, it's the Atlantic Ocean. He ain't crossing it, that's the line, and he ain't crossing it. And I've also had him fly across a river.
I was just going to say,
I've had him fly across a big river and come straight to me and land in front of me. I've had them come over fences, through fences, under fences, everything you can think of. But I've also had them hang up on nothing.
So it's just individual birds?
Yes,
and their behavior.
in my opinion.
That day, now tomorrow, he might be different.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about, later in the morning, let's say they're henned up, all right? Then we're from Mississippi, so we can hunt in the afternoon, it's afternoon hunts. What's your tactics for later on in the day, when it's got quiet? How do you go, what do you go about? Do you get quiet with them?
No, I still call to them, but I think in the afternoons, your scouting's a little more important, knowing kind of that turkey's habit every day, but if you own public land you don't know, I mean, just like, example with that turkey that Mark killed in that field, that turkey never gobbled, we knew he was there, and we knew he heard that box, so just call maybe less, but still, I mean, you know, you wanna not get aggressive to start with, but then just hush, don't call as much, I guess. There's you get a reaction or something.
There's two ways.
They'll gobble their head off in the afternoon, you know.
Oh, yeah, there's two ways to go about that, and I tell you, I've done both of them, but one is to walk and call, cut at them or whatever, try to strike one. I don't do that as much as I used to, and a lot of times, I want to, if I'm real confident I'm in the right spot,
And that's no way.
knowing where you are, you're scouting like he talked about. If I feel like I'm in the right spot, I see turkeys in this area every day at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, then I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna sit down. And I ain't gonna start calling right off. I'm gonna let the woods settle down. I'm gonna let things get quiet. And then I'm gonna start real soft, because he may be right there. It ain't no time to be just carrying on. I'll start real soft, and then I'll start slowly getting a little louder. And then if I don't get a response, I might get a little aggressive and cut a little bit. But I'm gonna be ready. When I make my first call, I'm gonna be ready. But I've had too many times where they gobble at 15 yards behind me or right there on top of me.
I got a good story with Matt Van Sice that day.
Yeah.
Perfect afternoon hunt.
Oh,
We knew the
yeah.
gobble was there. Cameraman, Mark, Van Sice, me, we all sitting there. And Mark called on the trumpet, just like you said, real soft, nothing. All of us had eaten big lumps, and we all went. And I think every one of us was asleep. And all of a sudden we sat there, and about 20 steps behind us, pow!
Yep.
You know, he had heard it. He just made that one series of calls. That's just 30 minutes later, maybe.
Yeah.
And he comes right there and Matt killed him, but and just sit there and be still.
Matt, Matt had just won the Grand National Championship, and he ain't even called. He didn't even put a call in his mouth. And I was sitting over there running the trumpet, and Kerry's sitting over there beside Matt, and it just all of a sudden, he gobbled right there, and came around, and Matt killed him right in front of him. And it's just one of those deals.
We knew he was there, you know,
We knew we were in the right place, and it just happened to work out.
I think they're easier to kill in the afternoon versus the morning. If you can get them to gobble midday,
Oh, yeah.
You're right, you're right.
That morning thing, he knows what he's got around
A
him.
lot of times, he's just giving you a courtesy gobble in the mornings.
Especially
Not
them
always.
old big old ones.
Yeah.
Mark, can you run us through a series on your trumpet, how you would use it when you're aggressively calling to it?
Yeah. So what I would do is, of course, I always start soft, and then I would get a little bit louder. And let me tell you, there's no real reason to be really loud on a trumpet. I found that a trumpet seems to carry further. I've been hunting with Kerry, and we get kind of separated, and he's over here like trying to strike one over here. I mean, you can hear him a long way. But I will get more excited, I will say. So. That's kind of what I would do as a
I just
board.
bought one and I'm trying to learn how to use it more than I will my other calls, because it's something different with that one.
Yes, sir.
It will drive a hen crazy.
Yeah.
People don't realize, I mean, there's a lot of good calls, a lot of, we was talking about a while ago when that gobbler with that hen ain't saying nothing, that will drive a hen berserk. Wing bone, trumpet, whatever. I mean,
For some reason. Yes, sir.
they can't.
You talked earlier about a Jake yelp versus a hen yelp. Would you demonstrate that for us?
Sure.
Either one of you, or whatever?
So a hen yelp is gonna be generally, now let me tell you something. I've heard adult gobblers sound just like a hen. In fact, I had an adult gobbler hen yelping and gobbling and at himself. I thought it was two birds. He was a one-man band. I was sitting there one day and I heard a hen and I'm like, boy, she's pretty. That's a pretty yelp. And it kept going on, and then I heard a gobble. And I'm like, well, you know what? She's got him fired up. And that rascal stepped out into the road, I mean a big old gobbler. And he stepped out and stepped out like that, and he started hen yelping and then gobbled behind him. So So don't.
That was right in the last few years, that ain't a long time.
Yeah, that
The
was-
world changed now.
Yeah, no, it was definitely not. What no transgender stuff. So it was definitely, I mean, I'm looking at him, I'm in a deer stand and he's right there. I never would have believed that. So don't ever assume, but in general, hens are more higher pitch and the gobblers have a little bit more of a yonk kind of to it, kind of a, this is a hen. And the gobbler more. So, and that's all on the same call. So a lot of people say, well, you know, I need to get a gobbler wing bone or a yelper or a hen or whatever. So you can learn to do it all on the same call. Most of the time, a good call will be able to do all that stuff together. So,
That brought up a good point too. I know a lot of guys running mouth calls. When they first start running mouth calls, they getting that sound, but to me, they got a gobbler ejected sound. And they kill, I knew a boy that, he would kill the heck out of turkeys. He sounded just like a jake.
Yeah.
But they weren't coming to him for a hen, they was coming to him, they thought he was a jake, and he was
Yeah.
killing the fire out of it. And I told him, I said, man, you sound like a jake. Well, I'm killing turkeys. I was, but-
back in the day, and I know Rob can attest to this, Rob's been around long, I'm not saying you're old, Rob, I'm saying you've been around a long time. But back, way back, I used to run that Quaker Boy Old Boss hen, and I'm sure I sounded just like a jake on it. And I killed the fool out of turkeys. But I know it had that old thick latex and a little small cut on each side, and it was so yonky. But, man, I killed some turkeys with that call.
You know, like Mark said, you can do that on mouth call also.
But they'll tell you that even with decoys, when they, if you use decoys, when they come to decoys, they're going to the jake first. 9 times out of 10, they're going to that jake.
That's right.
They're not gonna go over and mess around with that hen first.
Well, they get rid of the jake, they got the hen then,
Yeah.
so they're not worried about
I
her.
think dominance almost always trumps breeding. You know?
Sure.
Like Mark said on that, you know, running that trumpet, you can do it on a mouth call, hen yelp. Just change your calcing, you know.
And let me tell you, it makes a difference. If you can learn that stuff and you can run a call 2 or 3 different ways, it makes a world of difference. It can change unsuccessful hunt into a good hunt real quick, just doing something different and not having to change calls.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about the gobbling on a 2 call.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
I practiced on that for a long time, and I couldn't get it just right. And then I realized I could kill turkeys because it sounded more like a jake gobble.
Yes, sir.
Especially on a turkey that would hang up.
Yes, sir.
It didn't have to be perfect.
No.
It was almost better that it wasn't.
Yeah.
That is absolutely a great point. And that can easily happen, and that just goes to show you don't have to be a champion caller to kill turkeys, but I think you just need to use the right call at the right time and be realistic. And you were a realistic jake with the way you were gobbling, so that makes a big difference. Yes, sir.
That fighting purr, you gonna do that on the trumpet or on the tube call?
I'm gonna do it on 2 or on diaphragm.
Can
I'll do it on
Can
mouth.
you do that for us one time?
Sure. So, Kerry, you go ahead with the diaphragm and then I'll.
Is there a different sound between hens fighting purr versus jakes?
You know, it's kind of hard to distinguish sometimes, but the jakes or gobblers will be a little deeper. good stuff right there. I'm telling you right now, that's good. And see, he's changing a lot of stuff. He's getting some little wines and some stuff, and that's a little bit hard to do on the tube. The tube will do it, but it's a lot harder to get some of that stuff.
Have you ever heard two gobblers fight? I mean, have you ever heard them in the woods? Their wings hit you. It's loud.
Sound like 22 bullets.
It does. I mean, it's just, and you know, get your hat, or I got a wing that I use. Hit your leg while you're doing it. Make it realistic. You know, that's a lot of it. Is that slapping? They hear that wing slapping, you know, and it makes it realistic. There again, realistic.
I'll tell you a funny story about that too. Me and Kerry were it was about 2010 or 12, somewhere along there. We were in the team competition, and we would have a wing, a real turkey wing in our pocket. And we would start, the judges can't see you, all they can do is hear you. So we were doing a fight in purr, and we were slapping them wings on our legs, trying to sound like two turkeys fighting.
Going around in a circle too.
And I had, for some reason, I did a fly down cackle, and I did the wing. When I did the fly down cackle, I was running diaphragm, and I was going to do the. Well, I got about halfway across the stage, and I went like that, and that wing shot out of my hand, and it went way back over there. I don't know that it didn't go off the stage in the back. So then we get to the fighting birds, and there it
I in
is.
my back pocket.
He had his wing in the back pocket. I reached over there and got his wing.
Took my wings. Right?
So he's reaching for his wing. I got his wing, and we up there, and we ended up winning the contest. I'm glad the judges. I'm glad they couldn't see it because it was oh man.
All right. Well,
I appreciate everybody
thank y'all.
coming, and I hope everybody's having a good time here. I know Mark does such a great job with this this whole venue and this show.
Yep.
He puts a lot of work into it, and it's a special time for me to get to see everybody. And you know, the best call makers are here. I mean, I don't care where you go, this is the best in the business. So y'all be sure and try to get by and see everybody. Don't be moving around.